Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have with us, he's a director, and he has a movie out right now, and it's called Extra Mundane. By the way, I'm going to ask you what the hell that title even means. And he's also, just wrapped up a project, so he released probably in the summertime, and it's called The Book of the Witch. I have with us Joshua Sowden. Joshua, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's no problem. So excited. I'm glad to have you on. What does extra mundane mean?
Yes. Well, it's so, okay. I was trying to be clever when I made it. All right. So I shot that film during the pandemic. It was like right before vaccines came out. I had a bunch of starving artist friends and we were trying to figure out a film to shoot. And once I wrote the script, I was like, okay, I needed like a Christopher Nolan title, like one word that means something, to do with the film. So I'm thinking, all right, I just started Googling phrases. So the film itself is actually about a new property manager who comes into a building during COVID, and he takes over from the old property manager who went missing a few weeks prior. And the story takes them on all these twists and turns and figuring out why people in the building are going missing. And I landed on extra mundane because the definition of it is not super lame. It actually means outside of this material world. So that plays into the story a bit once you dive into it. So that is where the title came from. And I realize now it's probably being too cute, and I've gotten many YouTube comments, about that, but that's all right. That's okay. That's why we do it. We live and we learn.
So that's a really interesting concept for a story.
Thank you.
What gave you the inspiration for that?
Oh man. So I still am, but now I do commercial, but I was a property manager for a long time, residential property manager. And oh man, stories. We could just talk about the stories of that if you want to. I've got some LA wild ones for you.
Oh, LA too, yeah.
Oh my gosh. My first building was right behind the Roosevelt Hotel on Hollywood Boulevard, which is diagonal, like you could see the Chinese theater from it. And the people that I would come in contact with, it's otherworldly. For anybody who hasn't been to Hollywood, there are parts of it that are great, but most of it, I would say save your ticket and maybe go to Santa Monica instead or something. But so I was property managing and COVID hit, and I started thinking about the concept of everybody being home at the same time. And I was like, that is so strange. You don't see cars gone, the streets full. My parking garage at the time was full. And I'm big into like ghost adventures, those kinds of shows,
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea of energy and EV meters and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, what if all this energy in the same building at the same time? When has that ever happened? Outside of the last pandemic in whatever it was, 1918, when has all this energy been collected in one building? And most of it's fear, anxiety of what's going to happen to me. Am I going to get sick if I go out the door?
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the impetus for the whole thing. And then, from there, I kind of took it into a horror route where it started to become more about missing people and how it was so difficult during the pandemic for any medical person or police or anybody to respond because they were being called everywhere. Everything was spread thin, right? And so that played a bit into it too. Why are these people going missing? Why is it not a bigger deal? It's because you're in the middle of COVID and everybody's stretched thin, so you can't come, check all these missing persons all the time, every time, and it was happening pretty consistently. So that, and then it turned into the horror kind of mystery thriller that it is now.
It's pretty interesting. So I'm a mortician, by the way. That's my day job.
No way.
Yes. So like during COVID, I don't think a lot of people know this, but during COVID,
I'm ready.
Like it was so busy that like medical examiners and were not doing autopsies. So majority of medical examiners do autopsies if it's foul play or something suspicious, suicide. Those are when autopsies are done.
Right.
So a lot of times they were skipping autopsies. So I always wonder, like, what if someone did murder someone, or what if it wasn't natural causes, or like what if it wasn't an actual suicide?
Right.
Like a lot of these cases could have just went under the radar.
Just completely.
It was the best time to like murder somebody.
Oh my god. Oh my dude, there's your movie right there. Come on, we got to get you in this, man.
That's a great fucking movie, isn't it?
It's a great fucking movie.
It was the best time. Most people don't know. COVID was the best time, especially in the height. Was the best time. If you wanted to murder someone and get away with it,
that was it.
COVID. Yep.
There you go. Well, then my story holds water. Then I will I'll hold on to that. So that's kind of what it was. It was so hard. They were being called everywhere. Everybody was calling the police or whatever. And then on top of that, there were riots everywhere, especially here in LA, Long Beach. So I felt like any authoritarian figure was kind of just unavailable sometimes, and that could be scary. I mean, to your point about that, that's horrifying. But yeah, I mean, that was really kind of where the story came from, was this idea that everybody's locked in a building together. You get this negative energy flowing, kind of Ghostbusters style, and what does that do? What does that conjure up? What does that create? And that's to be revealed at the end of the movie.
Damn, I should hope I didn't give anybody any fucking ideas for the next pandemic. That let's go murdering. So
you did. No.
Don't murder anyone, but nobody.
Don't murder anybody.
Let's not murder nobody. Yes.
Don't murder anybody, please. No. Yeah, let's keep that. It's okay, but it's a brilliant idea. I mean, for a film, it's that's what we look for.
Yes, and so when you started talking about, and when I saw the trailer you were talking about, I was like, oh my goodness, he must know what I know. And but you didn't know what I know.
I didn't know. You blew my mind.
It's like an amazing idea. It was the best time.
Man, that is something. But it's interesting that you say that. We're in 2024 now. Mm-hmm. It's funny because at the time I'm making it, I'm going, oh my god, everybody's gonna make a COVID movie. You're like, yeah, this is gonna be. There's gonna be Outbreak 17. There's gonna be all these pandemic films, and there were some people tried to capitalize real quick on it, and it didn't work very well. So the COVID element, I don't want to turn anybody off if they have feelings about it, whatever. It's a back burner element. It just kind of explains why everybody's home, but it's not a massive part of the storyline. The storyline is really about the new manager coming on site and having to figure out why tenants are just disappearing and nothing is really being done about it and what the hell's going on. So yeah, I tried to be real careful about going too much into. I knew it was going to be done so many times,
Yeah. Because I mean, it was like one that came out like a week, but that's indie horror movies. That's why I love indie horror movies.
That's it.
We capitalize on shit quick.
Grit.
We'll put it out quick.
Grit, man. Absolutely. And the other fun thing about that movie was I shot it entirely by myself. So I was a one-man crew. Yeah, I had camera on my shoulder. I borrowed some lights from a buddy, sound equipment. So what I would do is, the way I did it, I wrote it so that no two characters were ever closer than 6 feet, which in the film you can cheat, right? Because if I'm over the shoulder, just use a longer lens and they can be further away. And then, a lot of it is the apartment manager going around the building trying to figure things out. The fun part was it was a live building too. So anytime we were shooting, somebody could have just walked. And it did happen a couple times. People walked in, were like, hey, what's it? Oh, okay, all right. Sorry, nope, just making a movie. Have a great day. But I shot it that way for that reason also. A, it was during COVID, so I wanted everyone to be as safe as possible. And then B, I really wanted to keep everything minimal. So camera on my shoulder on a tripod, I pre-lit the scenes, I put a lavalier on the actors, and then I'd boom wherever their mark was, wherever they were going to land. So I had 2 points of audio, and then I'm just rolling camera wherever I felt like I needed the shot. And that actually has carried over to multiple of my films. That's how I keep the budgets down, is I pretty much shoot a lot of them by myself.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. But I can imagine that's so much. That's a lot of work.
My back hurts.
Yeah.
Physically, my back hurts.
Now, Extra Mundane. How long did it take you production wise?
Okay, so the very first scene that we shot, there's a sequence where one of the characters has to go outside to get a USB cord because he forgot it in his car, and it's this tension-filled scene. I shot that in December of 2020, and I thought, okay, if I can shoot this scene, I can shoot the rest of the movie. We shot the scene, and I thought, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can actually pull this off, and I ended up filming the rest of it through the start of 2021. I think we wrapped principal photography in April or May of 2021. And that was shooting mainly on weekends, or, I do a Friday or a Monday night every now and then, depending on the actor's schedule. So it was spread out, but we managed to get it in roughly 3-4 months, I would say.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
So what got you into indie horror filmmaking?
Well, filmmaking in general. I moved to LA to be an actor. I literally just packed my car. Like everybody, I packed my car in Virginia and I drove across the country. I didn't know a soul out here. I remember driving circles around LA for a couple of days, staying in hotels, just trying to find a job, find a place. Eventually, it worked out. Everything worked out, and I got a place, got a job. And I actually started going to an acting school, Howard Fine Acting School. And I was there from I came out here in 2013, and I was in acting school till about 16. Where I kind of split from acting was I put on a production of a play. So it was 2 one-act plays. I directed the first, and I was in the second. And it was the doing, and I hate to say this, but it's true, the control, the being able to kind of make your vision, come to light in that play I directed, that I was like, you know what? I think I'm doing the wrong thing. I think I'm pursuing the wrong thing. So after that play, I probably only did acting classes and acting gigs for a little while after, and then I moved fully I just kind of gave myself 2017 off, and then I went into writing and making my own shorts. With a bunch of buddies of mine that I knew from acting classes and all of that. And that's where it started. And now it's kind of progressed. You can actually see kind of my timeline behind me, starting here and going this way. Yeah, that's those have just been made with people I know through acting school, or I've met in other projects. And it started there. That's kind of how I fell into it. And then horror is just so juicy, man. Horror is just so juicy. It's funny because I rarely watch horror movies, because when I started making them, I rarely watch them because I'm a scaredy cat, like just straight up, like I will cover my eyes. I've gotten much more into it now that I've made a few. I enjoy watching them. Some of my favorites are Hereditary, Exorcist, Jaws. I mean, those are just classics. I still can't go in the ocean, dude. Like, I still can't go in the ocean because of Jaws. So, it's taken me a while to warm up to it, but once I started making them, I thought, this is great, because when you're behind the camera, you have all these lights on, there's all these people here doing these fake, I'm dying or whatever. And it's wonderful to be a part of, because it's not scary behind the camera. Like, when you're shooting it, it's not really that scary. And then to darken everything, put the music in, sound design, get other people to collaborate on the post-production process, and seeing the thing become this really eerie, creepy project it's really fulfilling. So I kind of fell into it. I started with a sci-fi short film, and then I started making horror short films every Halloween, which I still do, and put on my YouTube channel. And that's just kind of carried over into features now. I just love horror. It's got a avid crowd too. Horror fans are the best. They'll let you know right away. Yeah, yes. It's great.
One way or the other. Good
one way or the other. Yes, I love it. I'm totally fine with it.
I can imagine as a horror filmmaker, because I think this is the tough part for me. Like, if I've always like, people are asking, will you ever make a horror movie? I'm like, I think I would love to, but there's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you determine as a filmmaker what's scary and what's not?
Ooh, great question. I have fallen into the classic, and I can't remember who said this, so forgive me for not quoting, but basically I run off what scares me. So anytime I'm making a film, I have to approach it as, this is for me. What do I enjoy? What do I want to see? What is the story, number one? Like, is it a story that I really want to tell? Is it worth it? Is it worth hours I'm going to work, the back pain, everything else that comes with that. Does it interesting to me? And then, just trying to find my way into that story, that world. And then as far as scares go, what scares me? What would I watch in a theater and it would make me just crawl out of my skin or jump? If you talk about a film such as Hereditary, smaller budget horror film, right? But the way that Ari Aster, I believe, plays out tension in that movie is just, it's palpable. I mean, sometimes there's just these tracking shots and nothing's happening, but you as an audience member know it's a horror film, so you're automatically bracing,
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. And then I love the good classic jump scares. I do think some movies get a little crazy with how many jump scares there are. I think it can get a little oversaturated. So I just try to find a balance of, in the storyline, where's a good place to put something that's just horrifying, or when do we need a good scare? Sometimes it's just simply to wake the audience up. Hey, okay, I know there was a lot of dialogue, but let's get you back in. Okay, we're good. We're going again. You're finding the flow of the film and where to break it up and all the beats. And yeah, I kind of look at what scares me, what makes me crawl out of my skin, and I'll try to find a way to fit that in there somewhere.
So that's a good idea, because I just felt like if I made a horror movie, it would turn out more like an 8mm. I don't know if you've seen that.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like, and like the debate is that a horror movie?
Ooh, I've never actually thought of these. There you go. I know the film, but I've never actually thought of it as a horror film. So I don't know. I think I'd fall on the other side on that one.
See, so I would make something like that, and then people would tell me it wasn't a horror movie. But it's definitely a dark.
It's dark.
It's dark. It's creepy. It's eerie.
Yep.
But is it a horror movie?
That's true. It's more moody, isn't it? It's more like I'm trying to think of an example to compare it. Yeah, it's very dark, very moody. I mean, there's certainly creepy elements to it. I mean, it's kind of like a 1 hour photo. Have you seen that with Robin Williams?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of in that vein where there's just something disturbing about it, just something dark and maniacal. I don't know, but does that fall in horror? Depends who watches it, maybe.
Because I mean, even like when Nicolas Cage was in that house looking for the guy with the mask,
yeah,
he's going into room to room, and the music is playing on the record player, and all of a sudden it just stops, and then he attacks him. Like it was a lot of scary moments in that movie, but was it a horror movie, or was that more of a thriller?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's got elements of it for sure. I think you could probably argue it one way or the other. You could probably argue it one way or the other. But it's kind of similar to, I mean, a movie like The Batman. I mean, that just came out from Matt Reeves, right? It's dark, it's gritty, and then you've got those like jump scare scenes where they're in the homeless, abandoned place, and the drug addicts or whatever, and you're going through these dark rooms. It's fun to kind of think about. I'm glad you brought this up. It's kind of fun to think about where that line is of what's horror, what's just kind of thriller, what's mystery. It's a great question. It may just come down to who watches it.
Exactly. I mean, cause there's some movies that are obvious. Like you watch a Terrified or Jason or something like that. You're like, that's horror. But then you watch movies like the Blair Witch Project. Is the Blair Witch Project a horror movie? And I love the Blair Witch Project.
Ooh, yeah. So good. So good. It's true. Well, listen, this is what I would say. I would say that there are certainly subcategories, right? Subgenres within the genre of horror, right? So it depends where you could probably place 8mm, you could place Blair Witch in any of those. I would say Blair Witch is almost arguably a thriller. I mean, it's all like from the moment they go into the woods, you're just sitting there waiting for something terrible to happen, and you're squeezing your seat going, oh my God, the witch, the tent and all that stuff. I think within horror, there are certainly, and I rarely label my movies as one, like Extramundane, I actually had it as a horror mystery. Because it's so hard to have it just be horror. I feel like if it is going to be just horror, then it is kind of a slasher, Jason chasing people through the woods, and you're like, what you're going to get. You're going to get jump scares. You're going to get Freddy in the dreams, all that kind of scary stuff and disturbing visuals. But I mean, another classic in my mind that a lot of people I've heard call sci-fi is Event Horizon.
It's a horror movie.
Have you seen that? It's a horror movie. In my opinion, that is one of the scariest movies I've seen.
It is. It's a disturbing fucking movie.
Disturbing, man. I still have Sam Neill's face with the scars. Like when he turns around that first time, it's just scarred in my brain. But yeah, like that's another one. Some people are like, no, it's sci-fi. Like, I don't know. I think that's horror.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm as a filmmaker, so I feel like you get feedback from the audience.
Yeah.
Now, like me personally, like I'm 41 now. Well, when I was younger, my taste in horror was completely different. I enjoyed the slashers. I enjoyed the tits and all that stuff, right? You know, the campy stuff.
Sure.
But the older I've gotten, like my taste in horror has changed. Like I care more about character. I like character development and like a more of a great story now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that? I mean, from as a filmmaker, have you noticed that the horror audience has changed a little bit, or no?
Absolutely. I would argue it's not just horror. It's everybody across the board. If you're making an indie film or a Hollywood film, you've seen these bombs in Hollywood. They spend $200 million on a movie. It makes $20. You know, and it's because when you watch it, it's just the story was not that good. You look at a movie like, in my opinion, Dune Part 2. Absolutely incredible film. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's top 5 all-time sci-fi film. That's just my opinion.
Great.
Yeah. Oh my God. But it's story. You know, the visuals are spectacular. The acting is great. But at the end of the day, it's the story of this young man. I think it's the same with horror. I think it's the same with indie everywhere. I think it's story first. And that's how I always try to approach it. What's interesting? What's the biggest arc for a character? How can we get there? And then you write the script, and then you try to think about, okay, how am I actually going to film this? And that's where things change, right? That's where I think a lot of indie films, you know, including my own in the past, have suffered, because you have these grand ideas for a film and this grand story, and then you go to shoot it and you're like, oh, it's going to cost how much? What is that? Oh,
$1 million.
Yeah, maybe we'll just let's cut that scene and we'll go. You know, you start really thinking about it. You know, so I always tell people, you know, try to be a little, and most fans do try to be a little generous on indie filmmakers, because you know the restrictions that we end up with are, people would laugh if they saw what, you know, I just filmed another movie, and if people saw how I was filming that, they would literally be laughing. But hopefully it's, you know, you just, in post-production, you try to just make up for it, have some cool effects, and make the story count, and make the jump scares count, and you know, do the best you can. But certainly I think story has overtaken any kind of jump scares or whatever. And like The Nun, you know, you see The Nun come out, it's in theaters, it's right out of theaters. It's because it's like, all right, it's a couple jump scares, and you know, it's all right.
And I've also seen a complete extreme too, that some indie horror filmmakers give you too much story and not enough horror.
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, it's an hour and a half movie, and an hour of it is in a coffee shop, and people just talking. And then it's like the last 15-20 minutes is all the horror is built in. But I think most people would have checked out at that point before 100%. They even got to that point.
I can see that. I think a movie, speaking of Ari Aster, Midsummer.
I love Midsummer.
Yeah, I think that could. I've talked to people about that movie where that kind of fell in there. They were a little bored in the first, 20, 30 minutes. It's very dramatic. It's a lot of drama. Great drama, great acting, great writing. But certainly, if you're looking to go to a movie and have it be, Friday the 13th, Part 10, it's not that. And so you could very easily check out. You have to hang in there for the tension to build and to get that ending and to really affect you. I think he learned his lesson there, and then did Midsommar was before Hereditary. So
it was after Hereditary. It was
a reverse.
Yep.
Okay, so that's interesting then, now that I say that. So he did the reverse, because I thought Hereditary had a lot more scary elements in the beginning, and then in the end, he took it up to a 10. And then Midsommar felt like it was that. It was a little flat, and then it kind of kicked up there at the end. So if you didn't stick around, it certainly
because Midsommar started off fucked up, like, with the sister and the parents and the house. Yeah, it starts out fucked up, and I agree. It's character development, fucked up. A little more character development, fucked up.
Yeah.
But for some reason I like, so people are on one side or the other. Some people are Hereditary fans or they're Midsummer fans. You rarely meet people who like both of them. I am one of the people who like I like Midsummer more than I do Hereditary.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like both. I liked both. I was more Hereditary though. I man, when she sticks her head out the car window, I about lost. I don't know what I was eating or drinking or something. I about lost it on the floor, man.
Like,
oh my God. And from that moment on, I thought, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to focus on this movie. Like, you're not losing me, after that. The catching on fire and then the mom up in the corner. I literally am in hotel rooms sometimes and I'll hit the light and I'll just stand there for a second and go, nope, we're good. I'm getting in bed. I'll just picture her like up in the ceiling,
Yeah.
But I love that kind of horror where I'm not big into the gore. So any of my films, you're not going to see a bunch of stabbing and all that stuff. Like you'll see it, but it's not gratuitous. I'm not that kind of horror filmmaker, but I do love playing up tension. I love getting the scares in. But I love story more than all of that. So it kind of, it's fine in that balance. And then, if you do it one way, some people would say they hate both Midsummer and Hereditary, and they only like, Insidious, which is great. Insidious, I think, is a great, horror movie. But you'll get a mixed match of this and that, I think.
Now you also have another movie. You just literally finished this up a couple of days ago, and it's called The Book of the Witch.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Okay,
so that's my next endeavor. Also shot most of it myself. I did have a crew member for the last 4 days of shooting, which was great help. But most of it I shot myself again, and hopefully this is my last time. But this movie is kind of near and dear to my heart. So this one wasn't as, I don't want to say casual, but wasn't as like property manager because I had done that type deal. This one actually deals with the fear of death, which I think a lot of people have. I'm sure there's tons that have made peace with death, but I'm sure there's a lot of people like me who fear death and the unexpected, the not knowing, all of that good stuff. So this is really a story about a woman who has a severe fear of dying and will do anything to prevent it, including hunt down. Oh, I have my board behind me too. Hunt down a witch who has a book to endless life. And it starts out as kind of a horror heist movie, and then it transitions into more traditional horror after that.
I'm going to give it up to you. You come up with some amazing creative ideas for horror
movies.
Thank you. Because I can imagine it gets hard as a horror movie creator to try to think of a new story because everything's been done before in some kind of way.
Yeah.
So what was your inspiration for this one? How did you come up with this story?
Well, it started with, truth be told, slight spoiler for anybody who watches my first film, Extramundane. The book that is the Book of the Witch, her book, is actually in Extramundane somewhere. I won't spoil it too much. That was the starting point because I thought, wow, this book is really interesting. What could be the origin story of this book? And then I started thinking about, when you see the book, it looks like a book that would come from a witch, like an old medieval skin-looking cover book. And then I got hit with the thought I wanted to do a dark version of Hocus Pocus. That was my next thought. Yeah, and then I thought, okay, now how can I do that indie horror style? And what's the story? And I thought, well, the biggest thing for me, I went through not a health scare, but I was having something go on at that time when this was going on. And I thought, well, I'm terrified of dying. So then I started to really kind of sink my teeth into this concept of how far would you go if you had a chance to avoid death? What would you do? What are you willing to do, really? Because I think a lot of people have it in their mind, I'd do a lot of things. And then when you get faced with that decision, and you actually make that decision. And that's kind of what happens in the Book of the Witch. It's really a story about someone who struggles severely with the idea of death, having lost both of their parents, and seeing death with their own eyes happen in front of them, and the fear it instilled in them, to really want to avoid it at any cost. And then, so I put The Witch together with the book, and now it's like a, technical prequel to Extra Mundane, but loosely really has nothing to do with it.
In the same universe, though. In the
same universe. I'm going to try to do the same universe. I love that concept. I love the idea of little nods and Easter eggs to other movies. Yeah.
But I mean, it's an interesting story. Like, yes, I think about death all the time. I think because I work in the death industry.
You work there, yeah. I was going to say.
I think about death more. I've been doing it since in my teenage years, and I'm 41. So I think I've been thinking about death more,
sure,
on a daily basis than the average human being does.
Sure.
But I also think about, like, if I ask, I like doing what ifs. That's why I'm good at interviews. But like, if I could live forever, like if I could be a vampire, because that's what I resonate, or a Highlander, right?
Sure.
Would I do that? And I ask, would you do that? And most people say no, because my loved ones would pass away, and then everyone I love and this and that. Yep. And I'm like, fuck that. I would love to live forever. I mean.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Would you want to live forever?
Oh no. Even after doing this movie, I don't have an answer. It's tough. Okay, my biggest problem with death, and then as a mortician, I don't know if you've had any kind of experiences with someone, that's dead or a dead body or whatever, but my biggest thing is what happens after. Like, and that's where you get into and I stayed away from, I didn't really want to get into religion and all that in the film. That wasn't the point of it, but I really struggle with the what happens after. If I knew we just like float off to the universe and we're a part of this big thing and it's glorious and yay, then I'd be like, no, I want to live. I can die. It's okay. Yeah, I get it. That's great. I think for me, the fear of dying is the not knowing. I think it's just you have to accept something, that something happens and be okay with it. Right. And that's like, I don't know. That part I don't buy so much. So if I could live forever, no, I guess I'd probably die. I'd be like, can I tack on like an extra 100 years so I can just see, just see a couple more things and then I can go.
Because life is so, like, most people don't realize life is so fucking short.
Oh my God.
How many people I see in their 20s and 30s die every single day, like,
yep.
And like, and it's like so fucking scary because you don't know.
Don't know.
But like you're saying, like, I am a Christian.
Sure.
I believe in Christianity.
Yeah.
And but I definitely don't live my life like a Christian.
Gotcha.
So if heaven and hell were a real thing, I'm probably going to hell at this point in my life. I'm going to shake the hell.
Hey, just told everybody they should have killed people during a pandemic. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I mean, I have a good heart. But if you look at what a Christian is, who's going to heaven, you're almost fucking perfect. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, perfect. Yeah.
You're almost fucking perfect. So like, I would feel like 95% of people are going to hell.
100%.
Yeah. So, but if I knew I could go to heaven or something, like it's this amazing place where you get to see everybody and party and have fun the rest of your life, yes. But I honestly, even though as a Christian I shouldn't say this, I think you just see black and it's just it,
Yeah.
And so I don't like that.
No, me either. But I will give you something that gave me a little comfort. Okay, so let me pass this on, and it's actually in the movie, so you're getting like a first. Yeah. So one of the first lines that I hooked onto that I kind of wrote the story around, because it's two different characters. It's a character who's scared of death, and then the other main character is someone who's kind of accepted it. It's part of life. You need to live your life to the fullest. That kind of older gentleman who kind of is trying to help this young person along. They're both security guards, so they work the night guard together, and he's trying to get her by and just live her life. But one of the lines in the movie that I had in my head before I even finished writing it was, one of the characters gets ready to walk out the door, and he stops and he turns around and he says, "Do you remember anything before you were born?" And the other character just kind of looks up and thinks about it for a second, doesn't answer, but sees what he's getting at, and he goes, "It's an interesting thought," and walks out. And I thought, that's profound, because I read that somewhere, that I forget about it, but it was like, why are you afraid of death? Because, what do you remember from before you were born? And I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh, there was no pain, there was no suffering. I didn't feel any way about anything. It was just, yes, it was blackness, to your point. It was just darkness. Yes, of course, I remember that. But there was nothing scary about it. You know, I didn't know. You don't know. So if it's like that, all right. I still think the getting to death point is the problem.
Yes.
How you're going to
It's
go, the pain, the what if, that stuff.
I feel like most people just don't die in their sleep. I feel like most people go, oh, like you're suffering. You're suffering. You're in hospice. You're in pain. You're moaning. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to a hospice before, like a hospital.
I have not.
It's people literally screaming in pain the whole entire time, going in the hallways and so forth. And it sounds like absolute hell.
Yeah.
And like getting to that part is the part that's going to suck, you know. But going back to it, if you had a chance to be a Highlander or a vampire, which one would you go with?
I'm going vampire because I'm all about that. I'm all about the night. Like, I'm cool with that. I don't need daytime. I can live. And if it's like, now it depends what version. Now, do I get to turn into like wolf or do I have to be a bat? You know, that might sway me one or the other.
You're just like let me think.
Like Lost Boys? No, they turn into bats. No. Yeah,
they turn into bats. Well, yeah, you can turn into a bat. In this scenario, you can turn into a bat, but not a wolf.
Totally, because then I'm a hybrid too. I can be Batman part time, and then I'm the vampire the other time. Yeah, I'm in. I'll be vampire. How about you?
I would do a vampire too because there's something sexy about a vampire. I don't know what it is.
There you go.
There's something sexy about a vampire. But not only that, like imagine if you had, because the vampires can just be in one place into another, like that, right? So you could just be, you know what? I want to live in Norway for a couple years. You just there, and like at this point, you're definitely rich because I hope that if you lived on this earth for hundreds of years, like, wouldn't it be sad to be a 500-year-old broke vampire?
I didn't figure out the stock market.
I mean, someone needs to push you in the sun at that point.
Totally.
Right? Like you're just wasting time.
Totally.
At that point. Like,
read a book, man.
You can't even be a 200-year-old broke vampire.
Yeah.
You know.
No, you're right. So, you got to hide all day. You got to read something, go on the internet. I don't know. It's 2024, man. Everybody's got Wi-Fi. Go to a Starbucks.
Something. Something.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez.
It's so true. Yeah.
And you're still the manager. I mean, or you're still the assistant for 200 years. You're the assistant manager at like Piggly Wiggly or Walmart or something. Like, man, what are you doing? Why live for the rest of your life at that point?
There's another movie. That is a comedy short film right there. There's a vampire who's assistant manager at a Piggly Wiggly and finally has enough, tells one of the customers off, walks out right into the sunrise, and just bursts into flames. There it is.
That's I just said Piggly Wiggly or Walmart. I need something that was open nights. So I'm trying to say yes.
I love it. I haven't been to a Piggly Wiggly in forever. Not in forever. Oh my gosh. I just went to. Oh wait, hold on. There's something we have to touch on. Sorry, then we can go back to films. But if I'm not mistaken, you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, right?
I heard Eagles fan.
All right. I just got this hat the other day. All right. So there we go. Go
Birds. Go Birds, man. It's old school. I love it.
Oh yeah, man, dude! I went to the Dolphins game this year in Philly with the Kelly Green uniforms.
Nice.
Oh, it was so fun, man! I'm so glad we won that game. Anyway, I digress. Sorry, go Birds! All right.
This is our year, man. This is our year again.
I think so. We got a good team this year. Our defense last year was suspect, but I feel better with Fangio there.
Yes, I think, and breaking Gardner back too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think. I don't know what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened. It was definitely our coordinators, our defensive coordinators and our offensive coordinators. Yeah. This by the way, these are my interviews. They go completely off the rails.
I love it.
Like that. Yes.
I love it. Let's talk. Dude, horror, life. Yeah. Like, let's just do it all. That's fine.
But I feel like now we have a running back again, something that made us successful when we had Miles Sanders. If you look at successful Eagles teams, we've always had an excellent running game.
Yep. Westbrook. I missed the Westbrook days. Shady.
Yeah, Shady, McCoy. Like, so like, that was something that we were missing. And people say, well, how about Swift? Swift was great at bursts, but I feel like he was not consistent.
Yeah, I agree. No, I totally agree. And we didn't use him at all in the swing game. Like, we didn't throw the ball to him at all, which was so mind-boggling, which, again, to your point, I think goes to coordinators. So the real, I mean, tell of the tape is going to be how we look this year, because if we're great this year, then it was the coordinators. I mean, it just had to be. I think players on defense had a little to do with it. We didn't quite have the talent. We let a lot of people go. But excited for this year, man. I want to go to they're playing the Rams again this year in LA, so I want to try to go.
Oh, sweet. So, I get to a game every single year. Last year I didn't get to one, but I'm definitely get to one this year.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I feel like if we have a collapse like we did last year, Nick Sirianni's gone.
Gone. Philly will run him right out of the building.
Oh, he's gone because we will get rid of a fucking coach.
Oh yeah.
Like I mean, think about Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson literally won a fucking Super Bowl, and 2 years later we ran him out. Like that's fucking crazy.
100%. But you have to give Jeffrey Lurie credit. I mean, think about every hire he's made. They weren't highly regarded coaches. They weren't, anything special. But Sirianni's 2 playoffs, 1 Super Bowl appearance. Doug Peterson, Philly wins their first Super Bowl. Andy Reid. I mean, we all know Andy. Like, so you got
Chip Kelly.
Yeah. What?
Let's not talk about Chip Kelly.
Look, that was a debacle, but he did bring us to the playoffs his first year. I mean, coming off that terrible Andy Reid last season, he did bring us to the playoffs. So, but then the NFL was like, "Oh, this is like college football. We're gonna just ruin you." Okay, yeah, bye. Yeah, that was a whole thing. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, go Birds, man! I'm excited for this year.
Man. This is our year.
I'm ready now. Usually after the Super Bowl, I need like 2 or 2.5, 3 months of no football. And so I recharge. I'm almost ready. Let's get it started.
I didn't even watch the Super Bowl this year. I was so disgusted this year.
Oh.
I checked. I didn't even watch the Eagles versus the Bucs playoff game. I didn't even watch.
You didn't watch it? I watched it painfully
because the last couple of games, just it had me. I was like, we're going to get knocked out. I just knew it. I was like, we're toast.
Did it for Kelsey. I did it for Kelsey. I knew it was going to be I had a feeling it was going to be his last game. And man, they showed his face on the sideline and he was just bawling his eyes out. And I was like, oh no, this is how he goes
disgusting.
Out.
It's disgusting.
But anyway, yeah, I've sat through every terrible Eagles game, and I've made my wife an Eagles fan, and she would some of the games she was at work and she'd call me, how they doing? And I'm like, yeah, we're pretty bad. we're pretty bad. She goes, no, we're not. We just won 10 games. What are you talking about? I'm like, no, this is bad. Like this is not good. We're not doing good.
I hate fucking bandwagon Eagle fans. And I'm telling you right now, they've been coming out of the blue like the last couple of fucking years.
Agreed.
And like I live in Baltimore, and every fucking kid was walking around with a fucking Jalen Hurts jersey on, and it fucking pisses me the fuck off. I know they're not a fucking Eagles fan. Like they did not have to suffer through the Arthur Rhodes fucking years and the Ty Detmer and Rodney Peete as fucking quarterback.
Rodney Peete,
orders and all that fucking bullshit. They did not have to suffer through that fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And it fucking pisses me off.
I hear you, man. So I'm teaching my nephew that. So my nephew, he's 12, about to turn 13, and he's now a diehard Eagles fan. He came with us to the game in Philly against the Dolphins, and so I'm teaching him, hey, enjoy this because there will be a chunk of years where we're not good, and you still have to be a fan. Like you can't switch teams and then come back when we're good again. Like you have to, if you're gonna be an Eagles fan, like you got to be an Eagles fan from now till the end of time. That's it. No options.
You gotta stick. You gotta stick with it because majority of my life, the Eagles were bad. I mean, the majority of my life. I mean, we had those Andy Reid stretches which pissed me off, but and to see him go into Kansas City and win the fucking Super Bowl fucking really pissed me off,
man.
But like I feel like now something. People hate the Eagles now. Like I know. And like people hate the Eagles now, which is a good thing. That means because people only hate successful teams. Because if you ask somebody 5 or 10 years ago, the Eagles were in the playoffs every year winning the division chip. But no one had nothing to say about the Eagles. It was just like, it's just Eagles.
You're so right.
Yeah.
It's like the Patriots. When they had their run, everybody hated the Patriots. Get them out of here. We don't want to see them again. And now the Eagles are trending there because we're always in it now. Yes. Like every year, no matter what coach we have, it doesn't matter. We're in it. And they're tired of seeing it.
People hate the fucking Eagles, man.
Yeah.
But you know who I hate, though? The Cowboys fans. Fuck Cowboys fans. In my subscribers who are Cowboys fans, fuck you. I hate Cowboys fans. They're such fucking assholes.
I know, man. It's funny. I plead the fifth. But what I will say is, last Eagle story for you real quick. So I went to the FedEx Field years ago. I mean, it was McNabb. You know, they were down in the fourth quarter, miserably cold, and I was with my brother, and I was like, let's just go. This is not good. Let's beat the traffic out of the stadium, right? And on the way, he wanted to get hot chocolate because it was freezing. And so he goes and he comes back to the seats before we leave, and he's wearing the hot chocolate. A fan. I gave my brother an Eagles jacket to wear because it's cold, and he's with me. He's with me, an Eagles fan, right? He's not really into football. Didn't really care either way. And a fan walked by him and smacked his cups up, all hot chocolate right up on him.
Wow.
I was like, okay. So from that point, I have more of a thing with Washington fans, but I just because of that, which I can't. It's hard to generalize everybody, but if we're gonna put a passion somewhere, I've got my reasons.
But at least Washington fans are real fucking fans.
That's true.
Cowboy fans.
That's true.
I feel like most Cowboy fans are not fucking real fans.
No,
I'm gonna tell you why. I don't know. I know they're fucking not real fans. A huge percentage of them, not the ones who don't live in Dallas. I'm talking about nationwide, has never even been to the fucking stadium.
True.
They claim and I've been to the old Cowboy Stadium and a new Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah.
And I hate the Dallas Cowboys, but I'm a fucking sports fan, right? I'm a sports fan. So there's no way in hell a team is my favorite team and I've never been to their venue. Yep. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So most of them never even been, or they're not even thinking about going to a Dallas game.
It's true.
And if you go to the Dallas Stadium, it's the Cowboy fan and the Yankee fans, but I'm a Yankee fan, so. But most Yankee fans are bandwagon fans. Sure. You go there because it's so expensive to go to the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
And you see all these douchebags on the phone.
Yeah.
They're not even watching the game.
Not even watching the game, I know.
They're not even watching the game. And they got a Cowboys hat on, this and that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, the Cowboys fan base are not even real fans.
No. And that's where you get it's because they were labeled that. I don't know how they ever got this name. Maybe I should do my research. I don't know. America's team. Like, what are we talking about, man? What are we talking about? America's team. Stop it. And I think that carries, just that label alone carries its own gravitas. And people are like, oh, football? Sure, I'll be a fan. Dallas? They're America's team? I'll be a Dallas fan. I'm in.
A Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
I don't even know one player on the team. I don't know one player on the team. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah. But no, I'm with you. If you're an Eagles fan, it's just in your DNA. Dallas is just a no-go. It's a no-go. Yeah. So I hear you and I agree.
By the way, listen, I'm saying fuck you to the Cowboys fan. I still love you guys. Who are subscribers of mine. I love you guys, but yes, I listen.
No, it's so true. It's so true. No, I don't wish harm on anyone, even Dallas fans. Yeah. But when it comes to football, stay away from me.
Oh my goodness! If you have a Cowboys fan on your Instagram or Facebook that you're friends with, they are so fucking annoying.
God,
always an excuse. Anytime the Eagles lose or anything, well, how's the Eagles doing? It's like Eagles fans don't even do that with Cowboys fans.
No,
we don't even care about.
Oh, we're the bad guys.
We don't even care about. We're not even thinking about your team. We're thinking about your team when we're playing your team and we talk shit if we beat you. But we don't care if you guys just lose to the Dolphins. We don't care. I mean, it's the Jason Kelce saying, you don't like us, we don't care. Like, it's fine. Yeah. It's good. We're about us. Whatever. We're about Philly. If you don't want to like Philly, that's all right. We're not going to come after you or anything. But if you start stuff, I mean, what are we supposed to do? Yeah. Don't come to our stadium wearing no fucking Cowboy shit.
Don't do that.
Come to our stadium wearing no Cowboy shit.
No, don't do that. No, we almost went to the Dallas game this year. I'm glad we didn't because it was wild. But don't do that. And the tickets for those games are significantly higher than every other game. Yeah. Understandably so.
Joshua, where can anyone find you, my friend?
I am all over the internet. Self-Esteem Productions, YouTube. You can find a lot of horror films on my YouTube channel at Self-Esteem Productions. Instagram, Facebook, same thing. Self-Esteem Productions. You'll find us pop up there somewhere.
Okay, and I'll have the link to the YouTube channel in my description. So please like, subscribe, check it out.
Sweet.
Joshua, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, man. Listen, this was a fun conversation, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm excited for everybody to watch Extramundane and the Book of the Witch, which is we're aiming for a Halloween release, unless it gets picked up magically. But you know, Halloween is the goal for that one to come out. And if you follow Self Esteem Productions, you'll see stills and clips and stuff start to come out, and don't want to miss it. Love it, man. Love it.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. That's Joshua Salden. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Take care.